Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
Good to have you with us on this Wednesday edition of the show. If it's a Wednesday, it means our friend Kurt Helin is here, sitting in the virtual green room. Pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com is his jam, and he will hang out with us to talk all things hoops. Sam Yarnell hangs out with me as well on the show. We'll get into the latest college football playoff rankings, some news from the NFL, some quick hitters on a few topics around the league, and an interesting topic for odds and ends today regarding two GOATs and whether or not we could see them in 2026. That's coming up in odds and ends. But as always, we begin things with the big story. And the big story today is the Oklahoma City Thunder. How can it not be? They're 21-1, folks. Yeah, I know. There's this whole college football playoff thing, and we'll talk about that. But we got to talk for a minute about what the Oklahoma City Thunder are doing, because it feels like, to me, it's being taken for granted. Because it's early season NBA basketball, and we don't start paying attention to the NBA until we get to Christmas on the calendar. But you should be watching now, because what this team has done over the first 22 games, coming off its first championship with a young group, a first-time championship head coach in Mark Daigneault. This is nothing short of amazing. We talk about culture in sports all the time, right? When the Yankees were winning, it was all about culture. Then when they lost, all of a sudden, it was like, oh, where did the culture go? We talk about the culture, in places like San Antonio and Miami with the Spurs and the Heat over the years, and what those organizations were able to accomplish vis-a-vis that culture. Oh, yeah, it helped to have a guy named LeBron and a Hall of Famer named Tim Duncan and David Robinson and Tony Parker and all those guys. But we hear about culture. But it really feels like culture is the name of the game when it comes to the Thunder. A group this young and winning the championship they won last year, you thought, maybe it's just a one-year, one-and-done sort of thing. No. I think it's unlocked that franchise. I think it's unlocked something within that group. The expectation of winning versus the desire versus the push to win that first title. They're on a new plane right now. They're operating at a different level than everybody else in this league right now. They're not playing close games. Last night against the Golden State Warriors, who were without Stephen Curry, then they were without Jimmy Butler, who got hurt in this game. They were playing against this Warriors team that was hungry, that came out in the second half. The Warriors were down 19 at the half. They came back and actually took the lead in the fourth quarter with a relative group of nobodies and Draymond Green leading them, and Stephen Curry's brother Seth Curry on the floor leading them to this amazing comeback. And the Thunder just never panicked. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander comes on late in this game, hits a couple of buckets, finishes with 38 points. And the Thunder win again, 21-1. They play in the West, which is one of the toughest conferences in all of sports, if you really break it down. Think about all the different conferences and all the different major league sports. Is there anything more difficult than running the gauntlet of the Western Conference? They're making it look easy right now. And the question becomes, can they win 75 games? Can they win 74 games? There are odds available right now in prediction markets like Kalshi, which we'll refer to a little later on in the show. And the odds aren't crazy. The odds on them winning 70-plus games this year, I think as of right now, is at 47% in Kalshi's prediction market. Think about that. 22 games into the season. 47% odds on them winning 70-plus games. And given the way they've played so far, would that shock you? Does that number seem far-fetched? Now, the odds on them winning 75-plus games, which would obviously mean they break the record of the Golden State Warriors, who won 73 games in 2015-2016, the odds on that are at 17%. But again, would that shock you, the way they're playing? Does there come a point in the season where they start to look at the calendar, and at some point in the season, the Thunder are going to have to make a decision? Are we going for this record, or is it all about winning just a championship and being back-to-back champions, something the league hasn't seen in some time? Or are we driven enough as an organization, as a franchise? Are we driven enough that it's about trying to be one of the all-time great teams? Again, something the Warriors obviously aspired to and accomplished in that 2015-2016 season. Is that where this Thunder franchise wants to go? They're going to have to make that decision probably in the next month or so, based on where their record is. If they have 2 losses, let's just say for argument's sake, they're 30-2 or 31-2 going into the new year. Let's just assume number of games left on the schedule. What would you do at that point? I think you make a run to go for it. It's one thing to be a championship team. It's even another thing to be back-to-back champions in the NBA, something we don't see a lot anymore. Not just in the NBA, but in all professional major league sports, how difficult it is to repeat. Look at the Florida Panthers accomplishing what they have, and an opportunity to win a 3rd straight this year, and what that would mean. They have an opportunity not just to repeat, but become and go into the history books as one of the greatest NBA teams ever. They're off to that kind of start, and they're just getting healthy. They just got back Jalen Williams. They're just getting themselves right. Imagine what this team's going to be able to accomplish with their full complement of players and everybody in sync and getting used to playing. Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander have only played a couple of games together this year. It's scary for the rest of the league, but it is a long season. And they're going to have to make a determination about the overall goals for this team and how that lines up with how you tackle the final 60 games of the season. That's your big story. Another big story we'll invite our friend Sam Yarnell in to talk about coming up in a couple of minutes. The college football playoff latest rankings, what the bracket looks like. That's next. Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of the show. Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Hangs out with us in about 10 minutes. A lot to get to from around the NBA with him. Touched on some of that in the big story to start the show. Sam Yarnell. Let's try to answer some of the big questions from the latest college football playoff bracket. You've been so angry. You have been angry white man when it comes to the college football playoff when we have this conversation over the last couple of weeks. You've been upset. You don't like the way that they've been sort of putting this thing together. And I have a solution, and I mentioned it in the big story, and I want to get your thoughts. And I don't know why they do this. Because all it does every week is gives us agita. And gets you bent out of shape, gets me bent out of shape, gets people. I put up a post about the college football playoff bracket, got tons of views over on social media last night because people get really fired up about this. And maybe that's why they do it, but it feels like it's to their detriment. And the question I asked at the top of the show today was, why not just do it the same way the NCAA men's basketball selection committee does it? Why do we need all this mishigas from, for 4 weeks, 5 weeks? Oh, teams are moving here. Teams can move when they're not even playing. All these different things. Why not just do it at the end of the season, Sam?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, It's a very popular opinion. And I think yesterday was another example. You saw social media blow up during the show itself of people being like, the fact that they do this show is actually the stupidest thing ever. And the fact that we think for 4 straight weeks about what this playoff picture is actually going to look like going into it, maybe the stupidest concept in the entire kit and caboodle. I think that's very apt and correct. And I think the public, when they came up with that take, was in the correct spot. I think it was, college football is the only sport that does this. And there's a reason that the NCAA doesn't recognize it like it recognizes all of the other sports when it comes to the postseason and who the actual champion is, because of the way that this whole thing shakes out every year. Now, I'll say this with regard to the basketball thing, because I think it's an apt comparison, but even with the basketball and them having one selection committee that has one selection Sunday that announces it one time, there are still teams and people that fan bases that get bent out of shape all around the country for not making it in. That is a part of it. And I think, part of my whole point in my frustration with the thing is there's going to be people who are upset no matter whether you make this a 12-team playoff, a 4-team playoff, a 16-team playoff, or a 2-team BCS national championship game. The fact of the matter is you are always going to leave fan bases up in peril. It's part of what brings us back to college sports, quite frankly, that draw, that being so close but not being able to get all the way there, that is what keeps us loving our teams that we may not even have academic connection with in college sports. So, I don't know if reform is something we'll see in terms of them stopping all right, we're going to release our first rankings week 10 and do it week by week, every week until we actually get to the college football playoff. I don't know if that's going to change, but it does really feel like they are heading towards a 16-team playoff.
Absolutely. But I think it's process that drives a lot of us nuts. Is one, we don't really, Reese Davis asks, 4 questions after the poll comes out and after the bracket comes out, and we try to deduce from those 4 questions what the process is. I think what so many people are still frustrated over is not really understanding the process or how much it changes from year to year or what is precedent. Is there precedent? Does precedent change because you have new people coming in and out of this committee every year? That's the stuff that I think drives people nuts. Main takeaways: Alabama leapfrogs Notre Dame. Miami is still out. Ole Miss moving up. So clearly they're not punishing them for Lane Kiffin's departure. Those are the big takeaways. Mike Hill's going to be on the show tomorrow. Have a chat coming up with him to talk about it. He does a good job with Fox Sports on their studio stuff for college football. So I'll talk to him. We'll have him on the show tomorrow. Does anybody want Sam Yarnell? Does anybody want the Penn State job? I'm legitimately curious. With the way James Franklin was sent out to pasture, despite all the wins he had, and granted, not the wins that they wanted, but all the wins that he had. I wonder how many people are just clamoring to go and get that Penn State job. Kalani Sitake, hopefully I said his name right, from BYU, the latest to spur the Penn State, because there was thought that that's who they wanted. He's going to stay at BYU. Sam, I just wonder who's going to wind up coaching Penn State next year, because you're seeing all these in the game of musical chairs for college coaches. You're seeing all these seats get filled, and the one that's still going and the music is still going is Penn State.
Yeah, I've stood by for the last week or so the feeling that I have that it feels like they're going to make a run at Kalen DeBoer, and I don't think Alabama is going to be ready for that or prepared to combat it. With Kalen DeBoer's obvious ties to Pennsylvania and his dream of coaching for Penn State that he's professed since he was coaching at Washington, quite frankly. I think they're going to make a heavy set run at Kalen DeBoer. Whether it works or not, I don't know. But again, quite frankly, Penn State, I'm not going to worry about them with their head, because their fallback option is Bob Chesney saying see ya to UCLA and going to Penn State. And I would argue that he's the best coach on the market. So, Yeah, I'm not worried about the Penn State thing. It'll either be DeBoer or Chesney in my mind. I'll say this, speaking of Bob Chesney, with relation to the college football playoff rankings yesterday, one thing they told you, Jason, Duke wins the ACC championship and JMU handles business against Troy. We're going to get two G5 teams in the college football playoff, the way Bill Bender and I talked about so many weeks ago on this show.
And kudos to you. You brought up that scenario very early on. Last but not least, the latest college football national championship odds, prediction markets, our friends over at Kalshi with that. Ohio State right now at 38%, Indiana at 15%, Georgia after that at 12%, Sam Yarnell. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's just it goes to show you the dominance of Ohio State, right? They've got 3 times the handle in the market as Georgia does, right? You said Georgia at 12% and Ohio State at 38%. It's whopping. It tells you how talented this Ohio State team is. They are going to dominate everybody, it feels like, when it comes to the college football playoff.
Notre Dame at 8%, along with Oregon at 8%, and then Texas Tech at 8%. That rounds out the top 6. Go find more of those markets over on Kalshi. We've got more to do on this Wednesday edition of the show. Looking forward to being joined by our friend Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Hey, Zion Williamson's hurt again. Where have you heard that one? We're coming back. Welcome back inside our SportsWrap studios in Las Vegas on this Wednesday. Las Vegas, home to the NBA Cup semifinals and finals. Hopefully we'll see this guy here when that takes place. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com, hangs out with us every Wednesday on the show. Are you coming? You coming to Vegas? Is that official?
It is official. I will be there. I'm only there for the finals, though. I'm not coming out for the full spread. I'm just coming in I'm parachuting in for the finals.
You can't make it for the semis, really? You're too good for the semis now? They only say, NBC gets basketball back, and look what happens.
I have family commitments for part of that, and so I'm just coming to the finals.
All right. We won't hold it against you. Oklahoma City is 21-1. And I did a sports wrap short on this last night after they held off the Warriors for that 21st win of the season. I mean, where do we start? When do we start taking this seriously as them potentially winning 74 games? To me, it's now. I'm telling people, you got to start paying attention to this. We have a chance to watch a historically amazing season from this team. Over on Kalshi right now, they have 3 different odds set up. 65 plus wins. They're at 86% chance. 91 cents on the yes. 70 plus wins, they're at 48%, which is at 54 cents for the yes. And then 75 plus wins, they're at 17%. 17 cents. I could see them winning over 70. I don't know if I could see them getting to 75, Kurt. But based on what we've seen through the first 22 games, would it shock you?
No, not anymore. Look, they remember, they haven't really been healthy. Jalen Williams missed, J-Dub missed most of this. He's only been back for, 3 games now. Chet Holmgren has missed a little time. Isaiah Hartenstein's out right now, who really actually does impact their defense on both. It's they haven't been fully right yet, and yet this team just keeps winning. They are so deep. They have so bought into the system. They can pull out A.J. Mitchell, shout out Gauchos. There's 2 Gauchos in the league. He's the best of them. They can keep rolling like this as long as Shea stays healthy. And the only question is, do they take their foot off the gas at some point and drop a couple because they get bored? But
to me, I wonder if because they've got to start looking at the records and start saying, oh my God, we've won 21 of the first 22. Yeah. We've got a shot at this thing. They're young, so you don't worry about them breaking down the same way. But then the question does become, if you're Mark Daigneault, are you trying to tackle that record? Are you trying to do something historical? Or are you trying to gear up for a run, what's going to be a lengthy run in the postseason?
And that becomes a question because, look, I don't know if you saw the graphic. It was flashed during the game last night. They're the fourth team to start 20-1 or better, and now 21-1. All of those teams made the finals. 3 of them won the championship. The one that didn't is the 2016 Warriors, who were up 3-1 on the Cavaliers, then kind of came apart. And they will tell you, they think going and chasing the 73-win record that year took a little something out of them, and maybe they didn't have it when they most needed it at the end. So it's something they need to think about, but you hit the key. These guys are all in their prime. Hey, Chet Holmgren and J-Dub are on their rookie contracts. Like, this is such a young team. And by the way, don't forget, they're going to have at least one. They have at least one and maybe 2 lottery picks coming in this coming draft, depending on what happens with Utah. But they have the Clippers pick from the remainder of the Paul George thing. Clippers are a mess. Suddenly, you're going to give them another top 10 pick to just throw into this thing?
I'll avoid the Warriors from now because they're a mess without Steph Curry being hurt, and then Jimmy Butler gets banged up and can't play last night. So let's just move away from them. We'll come back to them another day. You mentioned the Clippers. I woke up this morning shocked at the news that they had parted ways with Chris Paul, who was supposed to be playing in his final season, bit of a farewell tour, you figured. Yeah. Now he's not playing for the team. They're talking about helping him transition into the next phase of his career. What the hell happened in Los Angeles? Not just with the Clippers, but this whole situation with Chris Paul. Is he going to sign somewhere else, or is this just how it ends?
I can't believe that this is how it's going to end for him, but we've seen this before from the Clippers when they traded Eric Bledsoe and he never actually played another NBA game. Like, this has happened from the Clippers before. They are an amazingly unsentimental organization. Going back to Blake Griffin, they've done this with other guys. I don't get it, though, and I don't get it on this front. I'll tell you this. Their locker room is a mess, and a mess in the sense that it's 12 guys, 12 cabs, low energy. They're not talking to each other. There's not this, and they talk openly about the lack of energy. And Father Time won this race really fast. Every move they made didn't work out. Guys got old fast, including Chris Paul. But they're up against the first apron, and without getting into a bunch of details, they can't just waive him and replace him with a young body. They've actually got to wait till after December 15th to try to trade him somewhere where he can at least come off the bench and help a team a little bit, which I think he can still do.
I just wonder if he wants to, though, because I think about this. They played the Lakers, a week ago or something like that. And during the game broadcast, they actually talked about the fact that his family wasn't at the game. They were watching his son. And they were going to watch his son play a game. And it makes me wonder, is he going to want to go play for a team that isn't based in L.A., where he's going to be gone as much as he is? He's not going to be able to watch his kid play basketball. And whether he just wants to even go through that at this point.
It's a good question. It's a very good question about whether he wants to, but I also know he doesn't want. He's too competitive. He doesn't want his career to end like this in the middle of the night, right? with cryptic Instagram posts, or not even cryptic. Like, they sent me home. I just don't get what the Clippers get out of this. With all the problems I just was talking about in their locker room, it's not like Chris Paul is the problem. It's not like he's some disruptive force. Their issues are much bigger than that, and I don't know how. Look, I don't know how they turn this thing around. I don't think they do. I think they ride this thing out till they got cap space in 2027, and just it's a mess until then. And I just don't get why doing this with Chris Paul. I don't know what the motive is here.
It's so odd. Most teams set themselves up so that when they go into a new arena, they're ready to contend and ready to win. Yeah, that's the way most organizations set up those situations. The Clippers are not most organizations, though.
They thought, look, they won 50 games last year in the first year.
Yeah. And we thought they were dangerous. We thought they were dangerous.
We were, and I now look back at that when they were the number 3 defense and think, was that a little bit of a mirage?
Yeah. We got more to get to on the NBA with Kurt Helin. Hey, Zion Williamson is hurt again. Where have we heard that before? Will he ever be able to live up to even anything close to the potential we had for him? That's next on Sports Wrap. Glad to have you with us on this Wednesday edition of Sports Wrap. Wednesday is about the NBA with our friend Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. I watched both games last night. I watched Knicks Celtics, which I'll get to in a second because I want to talk about Boston. And then I watched the Warriors Thunder game. I stayed up, watched all of it last night. I want to get your thoughts before I get to the Zion thing. The Lakers are 15-5. They have the second best record in the West. They're certainly in that second tier. They got blitzed by Phoenix the other night, though, Kurt.
Yes.
I was shocked. And I continue to be shocked despite all of the controversy sort of surrounding this team, the ownership stuff with Ishbia. They're 13-9, and we brought it up on the show last week. I kind of joked, hey, no Kevin Durant, and they actually look better this year than they did last year.
Jordan Ott has given them an identity. Right? An absolute identity of who they are and how they want to play, which they lacked last year. We were talking about the Clippers, very similar to last year's Suns in a lot of ways, like all the stars that just didn't mesh at all. Phoenix right now believes in themselves. They know what they want to be. They are aggressive defensively. They really pressure you. And that, by the way, if you want to look at the common denominator of everything that's the Lakers' losses, it's young teams with legs that can pressure you. And they know what they want to do on offense, and they've got guys to step up. Colin Gillespie, who had, undrafted out of Villanova in his third year, is just making plays. They've got guys stepping up, believing in themselves. They know who they are, and it's a real foundation for whatever they end up building. They've got to put some more talent around Booker ultimately, but it's been really impressive.
How does this Zion Williamson situation resolve itself in New Orleans at this point? He's out a few weeks now, an adductor strain. After coming back, he's barely played this year. When he's on the court, he's great. I mean, nobody can deny his greatness when he's on the floor. How does this situation resolve itself ultimately? Are they just going to have to take pennies on the dollar just to get him out of there? I mean, how does all this happen?
That becomes the problem, really, ultimately. I was told Joe Dumars at least briefly explored the market or thought about it last summer and quickly learned that was what the offers were. There were low ball offers. There were teams willing to take flyers on him, but nobody was going to give them anything of value. They're like, well, if we play him this year, he'll build up that value. And instead, he's been exactly what you said, what Zion has been since he's been in the league, which is really good when he's on the court. But he's, 30 games last year. He's missed more than half of them this year. And by the way, that 3 weeks reevaluation, I was told bet over, bet way over. So how many games is he playing this year? At this point, the experiment's just not working, and they need to strip it down and reboot this thing. You can get real value for Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. They've got real talent on that roster that other teams would love to have. And I think you have to start thinking in those kind of long terms because you can't build around Zion and you've got a bunch of quality role players. You've got to find a way to pivot this thing. I'm not sure, by the way, organizationally, how well they'll pull that off. Like, I'm not a believer in Joe Dumars. They have a mess of an ownership situation with where things stand. We'll see what happens. But, and right now, don't you have to? I mean, at what point do you just have to get out of the Zion business and pivot this thing?
I agree. They have to blow that whole thing up, it feels like, and get as many draft assets as you can. You
can't build something without a foundation that you can rely on, and he is not a foundation you can rely on to be there.
The Celtics have had a nice week. They beat the Pistons and Knicks in the same, in the last 7 days here. And the win against the Knicks last night was an impressive one. Jordan Walsh, by the way. Yeah, he was playing for Maine last year in the G League, and here he is contributing to this Celtics team. Jaylen Brown at 42 last night. Forget the Knicks side of this. You know how frustrated I get talking about them. And, great. They're 13-7. Yay. Which is just a couple of games better than the Celtics, who are playing without Jason Tatum. And it just goes to show you that on one night, they can compete with the best teams. And it also gives you a sense for, in this argument of Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, which one is the real MVP? Which one is the star of the team? Jaylen Brown is showing I can hold this team up.
Yes. He has been fantastic this season. I mean, all NBA player, maybe maybe the fifth best player in the league right now. Like he has been unbelievable inside and out. And I think that was the question, right? Jason Tatum can carry the weight of being the number one option and the guy at the top of the scouting charts. Could Jaylen Brown over the course of 82 do that? Yeah, he can. And the other thing that they've got is, again, Joe Mazzulla gives them an identity, man. They're going to launch a lot of threes. They're going to play a certain style of defense. They're going to do all this. And they plug guys in like Walsh who can fit into that. Derek White is playing well. Peyton Pritchard. They have some guys who can shoot the ball. So that, look, they're not a threat to come out of the East in the playoffs as constructed, but
is there any shot Tatum would rejoin them late in the season if they felt like they could make a run, if they got a good enough seed?
He certainly will want to, and I've got to wonder how much they need to protect him from himself and not push this too much. But if they get in either through the play-in or they get in as the 5 or 6 seed or whatever, there's a temptation there to say, hey, what have we been saying? What has everyone been saying, Jason? East is wide open. Man, could Detroit pull this off and get out of here? The Knicks are probably still the team to beat. You go through this and you're like, who could do it? And all of a sudden you're like, well, what if Boston gets Tatum back? And can plug him in? How good are they suddenly?
Over on Kalshi right now, 45-plus wins at 49%. Yes is 62 cents. Go and check that out right now over on Kalshi. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Check him out there. I always appreciate you, my friend. Have a great week.
You too. Take care.
We're back with more Sports Wrap. Sam Yarnell rejoins us. Some NFL talk next. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes with a fun question based on a couple of headlines I saw yesterday. Hint, I made a Sports Wrap short about it. So if you want to know, go check out Sports Wrap Shorts. Available on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. More on that coming up. Sam Yarnell. Like a screen out in the flat, some NFL Week 14 quick hitters. Sam Yarnell. The signs, the scent of desperation that you get late in the NFL season when teams start to sign guys off the street that are just kind of hanging around out there saying, hey, I'm looking for work. Anybody need me? The Steelers, the latest example, Adam Thielen, who played with the Panthers this year, formerly of the Vikings. Yeah, he's been around a bit. Take a flyer on him, right? I mean, anything to try and help out that receiving core, right, Sam?
Yeah. So as Seth Rorabaugh, who is a Penguins writer in Pittsburgh, put it very aptly on, I'm trying to do Saturday night. I think he tweeted this out. This is the tweet. Mike Tomlin will say something like, quote, "We can't eat soup with forks. We need spoons." And then the Steelers will sign a 2018 Pro Bowler to the practice squad. And that is exactly what happened in the last 3 days in Pittsburgh, in case you missed it. It is so predictable what this franchise does at this point. It's Tomlin comes out with the, attempt to fire everybody up quote that makes absolutely no sense to anybody except for him. And then they sign some guy who was relevant at most recent 2 years ago. This is bad. You were right when you said it reeks of desperation. I don't think you could put it any more bluntly when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're desperate for anything right now. The way that team started the season and the way it's panned out, I mean, man, it is just like death and taxes for this team to not be able to win 10 games, Jason.
They weren't the only team to go out and sign a receiver yesterday. Didn't the Colts, didn't the Broncos sign Elijah Moore? I believe they added some depth for their receiving game, added him to the practice squad as well. Again, here's the crazy part, though, Sam. It's week 14. The Steelers are tied for first place in the AFC North. For all the doom and gloom that we have talked about with them, and rightly so, this team is still right now tied for the division lead. That's what we need to just sort of, remind ourselves of, as much as we might want to sort of laugh for them right now. I was just checking to see what their win total odds, or the odds for them to win the AFC North was over on Kalshi, to kind of get a chuckle. Do they not even have AFC? There it is. Baltimore right now is 65% to win the division over on Kalshi, and Pittsburgh is at 26% to win the division, Sam.
Yeah.
You can get Cincinnati at 12%, so 12 cents on Cincinnati right now on the yes, and the no is at 90 cents. Yeah.
Yeah, the Bengals would probably be the only play.
Yeah,
the Bengals would be the only place that you could actually confidently put down money. I don't know. That division's going to be a mess.
Baltimore's down 13% though from where they were. Obviously, the loss.
Yeah, because they lost to Cincinnati.
To the Bengals. I get it. I'm just pointing out the information. Pittsburgh went up 8%. Cincinnati went up 11%.
Wait.
I know.
Pittsburgh. That makes no sense.
Well, because if Baltimore goes down, somebody else has to go up.
See, if anything, how much can I bet on the no for Steve? Because I know that they do the yes and the no. I'll just bet on the Steelers not to win that. I don't care who wins it. I just know the Steelers aren't going to win it. I would take out a third mortgage on that.
75 cents if you want to buy on Pittsburgh on the no. There you go.
Easy.
Go do it right now over on Kalshi. Joe Schoen fighting for his job, met with the press yesterday. Is there any shot, Sam, that Joe Schoen actually keeps his job through the upcoming offseason?
I mean, there should be, but it's the New York Giants who, very quickly this season have established themselves as not quite neck and neck, but chasing very quickly after the Dallas Cowboys for how dysfunctional an owner can be when it comes to meddling in the day-to-day football operations of a team. I mean, this has gotten really bad. It's clear as day to everybody and their sister at this point that the Mara family had some sort of deal going on with Russell Wilson that let him start this season, because Russ's camp loves to make these deals, as we know he did with Pittsburgh last year. Right? And now you're talking about Joe Schoen, who coming into his time in New York had a spotless record between three teams and had built a non-contender into an AFC championship team. And he goes to New York and it all blows up in his face. It's just starting to feel like, from an outside perspective, too many things in New York have gone wrong for it to be the problem of all the people they're firing rather than the person firing all the people.
By the way, Justin Tucker got another tryout, and he's 0 for 2 now. He didn't get the Colts kicking job either. They decided to go with Blake Groupie, Sam Yarnell.
Dude, just give it a rest.
Not gonna.
I'm sorry. Just give it up. No one's going to go for it. You tried once, and the Saints didn't want you. There's no chance another football team's going to want you, brother. Just hang it up. Move to the countryside or, somewhere in the middle of Missoula, Montana, where no one will know your name. And just live the rest of your life in peace and quiet off the grid. That's your option, Justin Tucker.
Latest odds over on Kalshi for the Super Bowl. The Rams at 17%, 17 cents. Philadelphia at 11, Seattle at 10. Go and check out the latest odds over on Kalshi Prediction Market. We're coming back. Odds and ends to wrap things up in just a few minutes. Tiger Woods and Serena Williams. Why are we talking about them next? Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Wednesday. Tomorrow on the show, Mike Hill, FS1, Fox Sports in-studio guy, college football. Get some thoughts with him on the college football playoff rankings, everything going on around college football. Maybe some other surprises on a Thursday. Preview the Thursday night NFL game as well. Sam Yarnell, a couple of reminders before we get to odds and ends. First of all, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the SportsWrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show Monday through Friday. Subscribe today. We really appreciate you doing so. The SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. This is the place to find all things SportsWrap and only SportsWrap. everything going on with the show, clips from the show, complete shows. Monday through Friday, you can watch Sports Wrap with Jason Page on YouTube. And the pro tip is, if you're really anxious to see the show, if you're dying to see it, a lot of times it's on YouTube and uploaded there before it even makes it onto our 270 TV affiliates around the country. We appreciate you watching there as well. Sports Wrap Shorts, also available on our YouTube channel. Quick clips, minute to 3 minutes, touching on the top stories in sports, the top games in sports. When a game ends, if it's a big one, flip over to our YouTube channel and check out Sports Wrap Shorts. Also available, Sports Wrap Shorts, on our TikTok channel, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on Instagram, Sports Wrap Jason Page. And now, without any further delay, on this Wednesday, Sam Yarnell, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. Tiger Woods in the news. Why is Tiger Woods in the news, you may ask? Because he has the Hero Classic, his event going on down in, the Bahamas or Bermuda, or one of those islands that starts with a B. And Tiger talking about his playing future, Sam Yarnell. What kind of a playing future does he have? Listen to Tiger in his own words.
Yeah, I'm probably going to play 25 events on both tours. And I think that should cover most of the year, right? No. I'm just looking forward back to let me get back to playing again. I just want to let me do that, and then I'll kind of figure out what the schedule is going to be. I'm a ways away from that part of it, and that type of decision, that type of commitment level. Unfortunately, I've been through this rehab process before. It's just step by step, and then once I get a feel for practicing, exploding, playing, the recovery process, then I can assess where I'm going to play and how much I'll play.
Sam Yarnell, any shot at all that we see Tiger Woods play in 2026?
Like, maybe, dude, hang it up. Like, just hang it up. Go caddy for your son. Like, you had your run. And I get it. It's the mindset of great athletes. And I'm not saying that, there's anything wrong with what he's doing. It's what great athletes do. It's how their brains are wired differently than yours and mine and all the other normal human beings out there, right? But dude, just hang it up. Please. It's so hard to watch one of the greatest of all time go out like this over this long of a drawn out time. It's just painful. It's agonizing. Just please, Tiger, just hang it up. Go coach Charlie. Go caddy for Charlie. Go make Charlie the next you. I don't know. Just stop putting us all through this every single year.
All right. Fair enough. Serena Williams, also in the news yesterday. 44-year-old Serena Williams. Some people thinking that she's making a push to come out of retirement because she made herself eligible to be drug tested, which is a requirement if you plan to play tennis professionally. She says, no, I'm not coming back. But she doesn't explain why she put herself back into the testing system, Sam Yarnell. So I asked the question, who are we more likely to see make a comeback in 2026? Serena or Tiger?
It's Serena. It's certainly Serena. To me, it's not very close. Serena Williams came back, 3 months after having a child? Serena Williams, when you talk about, athletes who continue to and honestly, she doesn't have as questionable of an injury history as Tiger Woods does, right? So Serena Williams is a more durable athlete over the court. Both of them have been, stalwarts in their sport. 100%, not downplaying Tiger's greatness at all. But Serena's simply been the more durable athlete. I think Serena's way more likely to make a comeback in the next calendar year.
And keep in mind, Venus is 45 and still playing competitively. And still is competitive. Like, she isn't going out there and getting dusted or making some ceremonial trip onto the court. She actually can still play at 45. I have no doubt Serena could still play. I just question whether she wants to get out there and do it and go along with everything that it's going to go through. One last note in terms of the odds that we've been talking about in the show today, courtesy of our friends at Kalshi. I'll give you one from golf. The Hero World Challenge. Tigers event. Scotty Scheffler, your favorite. 41 cents on the yes, 60 cents on the no. Next closest is Cameron Young at 7%. I'll say anybody but Scotty Scheffler wins. He doesn't win these early season events. Usually takes him time to get warmed up.
So you're laying the 60 cents on the no.
I am. Thanks to Kurt Helin. Yeah, that's the way I'm going. Thanks to Kurt Helin. Thanks to you, Sam Yarnell. Thanks to all of you at home for watching. We'll see you back here on Thursday for more Sports Wrap.